So actually starting up in this part here, starting here made a big difference for this install, which I mean, I can honestly tell you I never start there. Like, that isn't even a thing. I couldn't even tell you the last time if I've ever done that before ever, but that definitely made a big difference. So that's where I would start with this one, is right up here. Make sure that line is good. It's lining up good here. So basically this whole area is lining up real good, and then work away from there. All right, so that looks like the correct placement. Let's go ahead and get this out of here. Let's take a look at it. That does look really good. I think I'm gonna make a video on this color painted, and then the black plastic part will be a separate video. Let's go ahead and get these two painted parts done. I already did the other side. I think we're gonna run into an issue. This pattern is a little bit, just a tad, a smidgen big. So it's like when they try to get really tight with these patterns and really catch all the edges, it really just ends up being a little bit large. But let's go ahead and see how this one goes. Maybe I do something a little bit different and see how it fits. And by a little bit different, I just mean like absolutely no stretching at all of any kind. Okay, let's get this laid in place. Little black dot there, that's a little nick in the paint. So what I found with the other side is that I definitely, we did remove this from the kit so that I can cut that by hand. And then I found on the other side that this went up too high and I had to trim this off, because I pretty much always start out here somewhere, but let's just try starting up here so that we don't run into that problem. Okay, so right there, and we're just running right along this very edge with this piece, and then we'll see how that lines up back here. So I'm not going to stretch out any of those fingers because I am concerned with doing any type of overstretching that's going to make this pattern hang over the edges. Okay, so we just go ahead and squeegee this stuff out. I mean, I always basically start out in this area, but that just didn't work out that great for the other one there. Okay, we'll go ahead and push this stuff up and out, just making sure to stay right up along that edge. This is coming over a bit too far, so we're gonna go ahead and just push up on that a bit, which is gonna make us hang over on the top. But I think some of that seemed to be fine on the other side, so I think we'll be okay with that. Okay, and then we'll go ahead and take the rest of this up and over. Okay, now we'll go ahead and take our tack bottle, which, who knows, there it is. Okay, we'll go ahead and push this stuff out and over the top. And I go ahead and do a swipe and hold wherever that would be beneficial. Let's take this up over this edge, because it does come over this edge because there's a lot of extra bumper here for that to stick to. Okay. Take this stuff down. Now let's go ahead and get all this into place. Okay. Okay, so right about there, we'll pull that back up too, missed all that down. I want to come back just a little bit because I feel like we're getting too far over the edge there. So let's do something like this. Okay. All right, let's go ahead and actually, before we get too much tack in there, let's push this all out again. And then let's spray some tack up in there. Okay. go ahead and push that out, and then we can go over it and do a swipe and hold if we need to. So actually starting up in this part here, starting here made a big difference for this install, which I mean, I can honestly tell you I never start there. Like, that isn't even a thing. I couldn't even tell you the last time if I've ever done that before ever, but that definitely made a big difference. So that's where I would start with this one, is right up here. Make sure that line is good. It's lining up good here. So basically this whole area is lining up real good, and then work away from there. I mean, we are down a little low, hanging over that edge, but we'll see what the heat seal process can get down right there. Now, let's go ahead and get all this in place. And so right now is either the time to finish putting this down, or we're going to get a trimming around that. The darker color the car is, the faster I'm going to trim this out, because you can leave minor distortions in the adhesive where it's not stuck down when you trim it. Okay, so I'm just kind of trying to leave a little bit hanging over this top edge and trying to get the bottom edge as close as possible to lined up. As you can see, we're definitely hanging over there. I'm going to be coming back and just trimming that off. That shouldn't be hanging over there. That's not gonna work. So, and since we're doing that, I'm gonna go ahead and pull this back a little bit. There's a little nick in the paint right there. I put some more tack in there, and I'm gonna line that top up better, and then squeegee this out, and that's gonna allow me to just basically cut all of this off all the way across the bottom and get rid of the excess instead of having some of it up there. That's just going to be much more work than having it all in one nice line across the bottom. Okay, so let's see, let's get this down right here on this very corner. Okay, and right here I am bumping into this plastic, so I found if I take my hand and I push on this, you can kind of get this stuff to tuck under a little bit. But what I really found is if I push right here, I can get this part to fold open a little, which really isn't working on this side. It worked definitely different on the other side. I was able to tuck this in there. Let's find a thinner tool to slide in there. Maybe this one will work. There we go. Okay, then we can go ahead and work our way up. Get that edge nice and tucked in there. The other side was bumping into this a lot more, so I'm not having that issue so much with this side. It was just bumping, what was it, like right in here somewhere. And I can definitely see with the pressure that has on the bumper, that can cause that edge to peel up as it moves around and vibrates a little going down the road. So let's go ahead, get ourselves a new blade, and let's trim this out. So the water is run all the way down to here, so we need to make sure that when we squeegee this out, we get all of that and take it back up. Okay, went a little low there. I want to stay a little bit higher up on this. Okay, and I'm just looking right at the tip of that blade. Maybe even a little bit lower than the very tip when I'm making this cut. And then when I'm going around the corners, definitely you have to focus on the very tip of the blade. Okay, let's see if we can get this to tear on that line now. It felt like it was biting. Not a ton, but it seemed like it was biting enough. But it definitely is not coming apart like it's biting very well. Okay, find this spot, take that over. Now you do want to be careful when you're doing this that this doesn't start tearing off the wrong direction. Okay, there we go. Let's go ahead and get some tack solution in here. Go ahead and take this up and get all of this excess out of here. And we'll basically just kind of squeegee all that stuff towards the light. Okay, I'll just kind of go over it one more time. Everything's looking really good. Let's go ahead and try that out. Fantastic. Okay, so that definitely went on better. I would recommend that for sure, starting up here and then working away from there. This top edge is going over and then not wanting to totally stick down. We will see how the heat sealing process does with this part in a little bit here. There's not much hanging over there. I don't know why. Why does it have to just make the pattern a little bit smaller? They're just getting this stuff so, I don't know, this one, they just seem to have gotten it a bit too tight. I know I just keep repeating that, but normally you wouldn't have so many issues here. That's this stuff just, when it's not right and fits really good, then it's so tedious to come back. I mean, you can't trim off little tiny edges. It just doesn't work that way. You have to bite off a bigger piece than that. Otherwise, it makes it really difficult. I mean, this is just such tedious work, and it shouldn't be. They should have this adjusted better so that it's not so difficult for the installer and we don't have to spend so much time trying to correct those issues. I mean, I would swear that this pattern said it was verified, and I have had people ask me about that. How do we verify a pattern? And we don't. Somebody else does that. Somebody at Core must install the pattern after it's put in the computer, and then they say whether that's a good pattern or not. So I'll have to look and see how that works as far as if they verified which parts, because, you know, if you watching the video, you'll notice that this part installs completely different than these parts down here, because these are all hanging over this edge. So somebody obviously made the decision to get rid of that, but they didn't fix the whole bumper. Like, they didn't fix all of this part, which is a disaster, because now I've got to go back and cut all this stuff off if I can't get this to stick. And let me tell you, good luck with that. So, and you know, just covering the top of these, I'm not sure that's even worth it, but either way, let's keep moving on. All right, we'll go ahead and get this top piece on, and in order to do that, my wife did remove the Toyota emblem, so we need to pop that off there as well. So I think what we can go ahead and do with this one is just do some type of line across the top here. And then what can we do? I'm just gonna take these things and put like a mark here. And then over here on this one, put a mark here. So we know that those are about the center, and that'll get us kind of in the middle here. So now let's go ahead and kind of draw out something on this piece. And then we'll go ahead and cut this circle out, or oval.
Oh, you wish I would have cut that out?
Not necessarily, just, you know. No, not necessarily. This whole car's just been a lot. So, I mean, normally we would... Oh, I'm talking to myself.
No, I'm right here.
Oh.
I don't want to walk in front of your video.
Normally we would take that off, so... do you mind, would you please do something with that? Okay, let's see if we can just get this off fairly easily with our thumb.
Kate said, I was going
to tell you, you shouldn't erase it. I know. This is pretty good though. Really, I would just recommend leaving this emblem on there. I don't think that there's enough of a benefit for removing it, and with the difficulty it was to get that stuff off, the double stick tape, I really would just leave that in the kit and cover around it. All right, so let's go ahead and get on this though. We normally remove all emblems, but I just wouldn't do it on this one. All right, so let's go ahead and kind of get this stuff laid into place. So we've got about 1/2 inch there we need to stretch, and that one we're like dead on. So let's go ahead and move this over. So now we need about 1/4 inch of stretch and about 1/4 inch of stretch. Okay, so that'll tell us that we're in the middle. Now obviously if you're just installing this around the Tesla, if you're installing this around the Toyota emblem, then you won't have to worry about that because it's going to line up correctly right around that. Now again, you know, what we're trying to do here on this pattern is line up this edge really well. I just feel like I've been saying that a lot in this video. And then this is going to round over a bit on the front because there is a bit of a nose there to this. And then let's go ahead and squeegee this out. Okay, so I'm basically just trying to get this installed right up to this line here. This line in the body right there. Okay, and let's go ahead and lift this back up. What I just had happen there was that when I was squeegeeing this, after I'd already squeegeed all this down, I moved the material a little bit and got it to kind of shift around. And the problem with doing something like that is that you can definitely then leave a lot of little distortions in the adhesive because it's not sticking down really good. And so little parts will start to tack, like tiny little parts, like a pencil head or something, like tiny little dots will tack. And then when you move it around, it will distort around those little dots. And I think they call that chicken skin. I've heard something called chicken skin before, and my guess is that's what they're talking about. I've never actually seen it in person or in a video to know that that's exactly what they're talking about, but that would be my guess. All right, and now that we've got that installed with a little bit of tack in there, that went much better and it's not shifting at all. Okay, so we really, you know, this pattern I feel like could have been different. Like, why do we need to do some stretching here? But it's not a ton, so it's going to be fine. So let's go ahead and get this lined up here across this top edge. And then I'm going to go ahead and pull a little bit out on this and then try to continue to get this lined up like that. Okay, we'll keep this coming across like this. Okay, so we just want to continue to ride that top edge really well. And then once we're to like right here, let's check this out. So it does look like we can put a tiny bit of stretch on this, and that'll help get rid of that finger there. And again, I'm just checking that top edge, getting that to line up. Oh, that popped up or moved a little bit. Shifted, so I'm going to lift that up, reintroduce some solution to that. And then I'm going to go ahead and take that right to that corner, and we'll push this down. And then we'll have to come back obviously and finish wrapping this around once we get the other side installed. It's important that we get all this laid down first before we start messing with these edges, because we don't want to leave any distortions or stretch marks or anything in this part if we have to do any stretching or anything like that. Huh.
She said, "Is it looking good?" And I said, "Yeah. Well, I mean, it's looking the same." And she's like, "Perfect. That's what I want."
Yeah, that's what we do. Our work is secret and it's hidden, so nobody knows it's done when they walk past it. That's our job. That one looks pretty bad right there. Okay, let's go ahead and lay the rest of this down. Again, we'll try doing a little bit of stretch just towards this side to get this all to line up and get rid of that finger right here a little bit. Okay, so we'll go to right there, and we'll call everything good up to my finger there. Okay, and we don't want to continue to move this finger along here. It's just going to get harder and harder to push out. So there we go. And I did overstretch this a little bit, so let's see if we can kind of work. I want to get that part stuck down first. So just like that. And then I've kind of bunched the material up here a little bit so that we can work this out. And how we want to do that is take this up towards the top and break that finger up and push it out. And now this piece here, we're going to go right in the middle, push down, and then push up. And that helps us basically shrink the material up a little bit there and get that to lay down. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and put some tack here on these edges, and then we'll go ahead and wrap this around. I need just a few minutes. Okay. All right, let's go ahead and wrap this around now. Just gonna slap that out or slam that out. And fold up with the towel here. dry that edge out a bit. That's not working that good. Let's try running it down and over the edge. Okay, well, we're gonna have to try just slapping some more of that out. And basically we're just trying to get rid of some of that moisture that's in the edge. Okay, then we can kind of take the towel through and see if we can get any of that to dry out as well. And then we're just gonna let this sit, and then we'll wrap this edge like we would kind of wrap the hood after it dries a bit. Okay, great. So we'll let that dry for a bit. We'll come back and then we'll heat seal some edges, wrap some edges. All right, so I did want to point out that when I said this was just gonna sit and dry, and we're just gonna let things sit and dry, that's not necessarily true. So I've just been sitting here running over all of these edges and drying out all of the tack and slip solution from them, and continuing to run over them and push them down and dry them out, and then I'll move on to another part. So I'm just doing this all the way around. I got a brand new dry towel, and I'm just doing this all the way around. So I'm not really just like letting this just sit here and dry. I'm actually actively getting rid of all the moisture from the edges, because this is all I have left to do for the rest of the day. So I've got about an hour to hour and a half, which is, I don't know, maybe cutting it a little bit close. I think it's fine, but this is quite a bit of work left to touch up. Hopefully everything goes down and stays down at this point really well. At this point, I'm gonna say goodbye and say thank you guys for taking a look at this video, and then I'm gonna get started on this, and then that's all the rest of this is gonna be, is pushing this stuff down. So we're gonna be wrapping and heat sealing edges, and then maybe doing some trimming as well. So if you have any interest in watching that, there's gonna be a bunch of that. But terrific. Well, I appreciate you guys watching this video. If you found anything helpful, please give a thumbs up. That really helps the channel. Subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one. I think we're looking pretty good. Now I need to get this emblem back on. I would like to move the emblem a little bit to cover their rock chip, but I don't know if that's a possibility or not. Let's go ahead and trim this thing out and get this back on here. All right, so I'm gonna push this down right here, and then we'll kind of try to get this side lined up. And that looks really good, actually, right there. Okay, let's do this. Now we're kind of off. Okay, that looks really good. Let's just lay this down into place. Yeah, that's way off. Let's go find that now though, huh? Where is that thing? Here it is. All right, so that looks like the correct placement. Let's go ahead and get this out of here. Let's take a look at it. That does look really good. I would like this side to go up oh, and I moved it. Womp womp. Okay, this side is up a tiny bit higher than this side, so I am gonna angle this just a tad. So I'm gonna set it on there like this, and then bring this side down just a little bit. All right, that looks great.